Warning, this podcast is intended for consenting adults. We're talking about all things non-monogamy, which means some of our conversations are going to get down and dirty. Please know we are not professionals, and these are strictly our views and opinions and in no way represent the opinions of our employers. We respect others' opinions as we know everyone in the world of non-monogamy does it differently. Hope you enjoy. Hello, my salacious friends, and welcome to another episode of Pinky and Ava's Pajama Party. I'm your host, Ava Moore, and I'm here with my soul sister, Pinky Greyman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good.
That's excellent. Fall is upon us,
I know.
and it feels good to have that little bite in the air.
It's been really warm here today. I don't know about you.
No, it is kind of warm, but I'm enjoying that little nip at the night time.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know why?
Why?
Because at night, sometimes I get really, really hot.
And you don't have anybody to jump on?
Well, there's that kind of hot. I'm always that kind of hot. Let's face it. I can go at any moment. We all know this. Ava always wants more. But I'm talking about body temperature hot. Like, ooh, I am like, even though fall is upon us, sometimes I'm still sleeping with the air conditioner.
Wow. Yeah, it's kind of fluctuates, you know. Sometimes you want to be like under the covers and then you just throw them all off and you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why do I have so much on me?
Why am I changing moment to moment? And there's moments where I pause and I'm like, is it happening?
Yeah, it's
Is
happening.
the change upon me?
I'm a little older than you are, so it's happening no matter what. Like it or not, it's coming.
Yeah, but I'm not that far behind that, it can't be, right around the corner for me too. It happens at all ages.
Yeah, and we're going to bring in a specialist who's going to help us out to deal with those beautiful changes.
Exactly. So today we have with us Cherie Little. She's a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, dual certified in family and women's health, and a menopause certified specialist. So welcome, Cherie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. You guys are so much fun. It was so hard for me not to laugh just now and giggle with you guys. I can't wait for this next hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trouble when we get together.
Yes,
That's why
I
we have
love it.
pajama parties, so we can talk about everything and anything without shame or anything that comes with it.
We need this. We need this nationwide, everywhere. Yes.
Yeah, there's like nothing we can't talk about on here. I think we've covered a wide range of topics that we've shared with our listeners because Pinky and I share everything with each other.
Love it.
Yeah, a lot.
I don't know if there's much we don't know about each other at this point.
Yeah, there's some things you still don't know, but it's, very minimal.
The minor details, like I don't know, like when you cut your toenails and stuff like that.
Oh, you don't need to know about that,
Exactly. But what I do know is that you've been doing a lot of research on women's health and sexuality.
Yeah.
Because you're starting to deal with some challenges.
Yes, definitely. And the more I've started to talk to women all around me, the more I was like more confused and disoriented. I'm like, Jesus, does anybody actually talk about this? So most women would be telling me like, oh, you just have to deal with that. Like if you cold, you just put in the air conditioner. If you hot, just get it. I'm like, wait, stop. This is not the way to do it. You have to learn from women. I believe that women know women best. It's just my personal opinion. I don't know why. It's just my inner gut, 7 chakras aligned, and they screaming, women know better because they have been learning and they've been experiencing and they know what they're talking about from their personal perspective rather than saying, I'm not sure. I don't know why. I just feel like women know best. This is my personal opinion.
It's just easier to talk to another woman.
Yes.
Which is why we have Cherie here with us today.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yes.
Cherie, what inspired you to focus on sexual health in women and specifically women approaching and going through menopause?
Well, I think so. My plan wasn't ever really to focus on sexual health, but I will tell you, I fully believe all women should have the best sex of their lives. And so that is a priority in my clinic. Anybody who's having any issues, I'm always like, no, we don't have to deal with this. This is not the answer. And we should all be having amazing sex. But what I really started out doing was creating a menopause clinic. And I did that because my background is in primary care and women's health. And I was in the Air Force for a very long time. And when I retired from the Air Force, I said, I want to try urgent care. And I did that for about a year, and it was not my calling. That's not what I was meant to do. And so I kept hearing the same thing during that year. However, I would see all the women because I was women's health, and they would all tell me, Cherie, my hormones are off, something's wrong, there's something going on. And I would check their levels, and their levels were normal. Well,
Wow.
I in my education that we in a women's health program, we only had one lecture on menopause, and this was years ago. And that lecture talked about a lot of the studies, and we now know that those studies were flawed. And so, for a lot of women for the past 20 years, we have not been listened to, we haven't been heard, we haven't been validated or given treatments that will really help us feel amazing. And so, like Pinky was saying, we don't talk about it and we don't know who to ask because we've been told, we've been gaslit. Oh, this is normal. This is what you're supposed to feel. Just get over it. This is part of womanhood. And so, when I was in urgent care, unfortunately, I was very similar to those providers because I was taught don't do hormones. You're going to hurt your patients. And I would tell them because their labs truly were normal. Well, they're normal, and I had so many women asking me, well, who can you send me to? Who do I go to? And there was nobody. And I said, I don't know who to send you to. And so when I finally realized urgent care was not my calling, I said, well, there's a need, and I have a nurse's heart. And I said, somebody has to help these women. I don't know what, if that's going to be me, but I went back and I researched and I relearned and got certified with Menopause Society, and then frankly got pissed off. And I got pissed off because
Wow.
when you actually go back and you look at all of the data, the statistics were wrong. And so the studies that told us and created all this fear and all this worry, they're not legit. And so now we basically have a menopause clinic in Las Vegas, and that's all we do is treat perimenopause and menopausal women. And I see them all day, every day, one after the other, and it's very rewarding. It's extremely rewarding now. And so, with that, to go circle way back to your original question, so now the sexual piece comes into it because with your hormones declining, sex changes. And a lot of women aren't even talking about menopause, and they're definitely not talking about sex. And so
Right.
when they come in the room, that's part of our questions and our intake. How is sex? And it's a little baffling at first for them to open up to me when I'm a stranger and they've never met me. But we quickly become good friends, and eventually I help them. So it's it's normal, but we need to talk about it. And so that's how I got into it, and now I love it. This is my passion. This is my why, and it's everything in my world right now.
Wow,
Sounds
that's
like an
so amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing path to take. Can you just give us a few things that you mentioned the studies were wrong? Can you just point out a few things that we've been told all these years that are not correct?
Yes. So the original study, the biggest study that we have, came out in 2002. It was the Women's Health Initiative. That was a study. It had 25,000 women across 47 different centers across the US. Huge, massive study. And it was supposed to go on for 10 years. And they were actually looking at introducing hormones and their effects on cardiovascular disease. It truthfully wasn't to treat menopause. It was they were studying cardiovascular disease. And so a good portion of the women in that study was already over the age of 60. They already had cardiovascular disease, and they stopped that study at the 5 year mark. They didn't even let it go the 10 years. At the 5 year mark, they stopped it, and they pulled all of the investigators. So the team that was actually administering everything, the doctors, the nurses, they pulled them in and they said, we're stopping the study. We're going to press in 10 minutes. And the team was like, what are you talking about? Why are we stopping? And they said, well, here's our report. You can edit it. And they started looking at the report and they said, these findings aren't correct. This isn't what we're seeing. And they gave them a few minutes to edit it. And they went to press. And they went to press and they said, hormones cause cancers, they cause strokes, they cause cardiovascular disease. And if you think about this, back in 2002, social media wasn't a thing, right? We
Right.
still had news stations. We had newspapers. That's how we had our information. So across front page newspapers, hormone therapy causes, all these bad things. So doctors stopped prescribing it. Women stopped taking it because women, it scared them. I mean, it rocked all of us. Women stopped taking hormones and then doctors stopped prescribing it. So now what are the repercussions of that? They stopped teaching it in schools, right? And so I graduated in 2017, again, had one lecture. And so for the last 20 years, it's been if she's having hot flashes, if she's having night sweats, well, you can give her an antidepressant, an anti-anxiety medicine. And to be truthful, some of those do show that they work in studies. So sure, that can happen. But what does that tell the patient? She's crazy.
Right.
That's what it tells
Yep.
her, right?
Sends the wrong message, that's for sure.
And so yes, so now we have regurgitated that study multiple times, broke that data down multiple times, because in its true essence, that is one of the largest studies we have, right? To get that number of women is huge. And so we've restudied it, and now we find that the data was not statistically significant. So you have to meet a confidence interval for any of the data to be significant. And it was close, is what the investigator said. And well, in research, it can't just be close, it has to meet it to be
Sure.
valid. And so the amount of women, it was about 86% of women were on hormones, dropped all the way down to 18% of women used hormones after that. And so
Wow.
this whole generation ahead of us, our mothers, our grandmothers, some of our grandmothers, depending, they weren't given that opportunity. And so they just had to suffer in silence, right? And so when we say we don't talk about it, we don't, because what's the option? We don't have anything. We don't have any treatment. So what's it going to do? It's just going to help us, kind of feel worse to talk about, the lack of hope, if you will.
I mean, my mom and I have a pretty open relationship. And when it came to her going through menopause, I knew it was happening. And the only thing I ever saw her do to help herself was stick her head in the freezer. Like
Yeah.
that was that was the only care that she provided herself. She didn't take supplements. She didn't go to the doctor to talk about it. There was none of that. She was just going to
Yeah.
power through by sticking her head in the freezer.
Yeah.
And who knows what other symptoms she was having, but that's the one, everybody hears about, talks about, because it's not the sexual component, right?
Yes. And I bet she felt better in that moment, because those hot flashes can be severe. It's like you're boiling from the inside out sometimes. So if she could have climbed in, she probably would have climbed in.
Cold plunge head on.
Yes. Yes.
My mom actually had severe headaches, severe what do you call them? The
Migraines.
yes. Then bleeding from her nose. I don't know why. It's like it was constant, and it would just come, and it just didn't know what to do, and dizziness. And obviously there were probably others that I haven't seen. It was so many years ago, but it was just crazy. Like, we just didn't know what to do.
Yes. Yes. That does not sound fun.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. You need to give your mom a hug.
I wish I could. I lost her
Yes.
last year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know what
Yeah.
that's like. I lost my mom too. Yes. We'll give them angel hugs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Hugs. Yes.
Yeah.
So outside of the few things that we've mentioned, what are some of the other, I don't want to say symptoms, but what are women feeling and dealing with as they go through menopause?
So I can give you a laundry list, and I have this list memorized, so I'll run through it. I've gotten pretty good at it. But in essence, the biggest thing is you're not yourself. And that's such a hard thing to try and put your finger on, like, what does that mean? But we don't feel like ourselves, and we don't know why. So from head to toe, symptoms that you'll have, you can have the hot flashes and night sweats, but about 18% of women won't have those. So some will just coast through, which kind of makes it harder, because then they think, oh, it's not perimenopause or it's not menopause, because that's all we associate with it is hot flashes and night sweats, right? A portion won't have those. Genital urinary syndrome and menopause is all the pelvic things that happen, the vaginal dryness, the pain with intercourse, and increased urinary tract infections. But head to toe, here's my list. We lose our hair, we get blurry vision, we get itchy, watery ears, We get the brain fog, the concentration, low libido, fatigue. Our mood will change. We're a lot more irritable. We may cry. We have these emotional kind of ups and downs. Anxiety, if anxiety hits about midlife, or you've always had good anxiety and now it ramps up, that's almost always perimenopause or menopause. We get palpitations in our heart. And so for a lot of women, that's scary. We think we're having a heart attack or something's wrong. Palpitations in the heart, and then joint pain. So waking up every morning, your elbows are hurting, your hips, your knees, your feet. Those are all symptoms. We have receptors from head to toe. So you are going to get head to toe symptoms. But as women, what usually happens is we get used to feeling the punches, as I usually say, right? One day this hurts. Okay, all right, I can accept that, and I keep on rolling because we don't have time to address it. Well, tomorrow you notice your hair is falling out, and you're like, well, I don't know what to think about that. Keep it moving. And before you realize that all these things are happening, and you've just accepted them as your new normal, you haven't really taken inventory because we've got jobs, we've got families, we've got all of our extracurriculars. We don't have time to think about ourselves. So a lot of women don't even stop and recognize that all of these combined are an actual thing, that something is actually happening.
It is so amazing to hear you talking about this particular aspect of knowledge-based analysis, because I was listening to another podcast and they talked about that study specifically. And
Yes.
I was like, I wonder if she's going to bring that up. And I am so happy you did, because you just nailed it. We're going to attach that to our show notes. So if anybody's interested, they can pull the study and all the things that will come up. We're not going to do a lot of it, but we're going to do some kind of basic like reference so people can actually say like, yeah, this is really true, happened. And what do we actually do now from debunking this I don't know, study that it's been done. And it's so true. When I heard it, most women were above 60s, their age. So I'm like, you're trying to prove us something here, premenopausal, menopausal, right? But those women were beyond the age of where you should be getting treatment for menopausal or premenopausal issues. So it was like, that does not add up at all.
And the majority weren't even symptomatic. Because they weren't studying menopause, they were studying it for cardiovascular disease.
Right.
They weren't talking about those issues.
They just want to touch that. And it's like, okay, just like, let's just like the usual, women, just put them aside, whatever. We did what we had to do.
Exactly.
Blah, 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 quote notes, under, and just like aside, it's okay. They're going to be okay. They've lived through it so many generations. They can continue living it as long as we're not going to give them cancer.
Yes, I have this study for you. I'm gonna email it to you. The title, it's one of the ones where they have kind of re-summarized everything that with the study and everything that's happened since. And the title, I love it because it says "'Tis but a scratch." It's kind of like what you said, right? Oh, it's no big deal. "'Tis but a scratch." But they're saying no, it's not, right? Like the amount of harm that has been done, this whole generation of women didn't get an answer. And so there's, they're bringing light to it. But it's such a good thing. Yes. So now we know.
I mean, it's such a major part of our lives as women, and for it to not have been focused on is just.
We want to continue keep fucking, okay?
Right. I want to know how to keep fucking right on through. I'm going to be the person in the nursing home where they're like, do not go in that room because you do not know what you're going to see. And with that, I want to ask you, what are some of the most common sexual concerns women share with you as they're going through perimenopause and menopause?
Yes. So the number one thing is vaginal dryness. And the second thing is pain. Okay. So I want to talk about pain because I think we can all kind of imagine, things are just dry down there, right?
And we know how to fix that for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, you can use lubricant.
Right.
And I will tell you, you don't want to use water-based lubricant in perimenopause and menopause because if your tissues are dry, any water-based lubricant, they're just going to suck it up and absorb it, and you're not going to have lubricant now.
Oh, interesting.
So you want silicone because silicone sits on top of the tissues, but it won't be so thick and tacky, right? But you're not going to lose your lubricant.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. And so when I talk about pain, what happens is the reason you get pain is because the tissues down there thin out. They become paper thin. The reason they do that is because estrogen is what regulates collagen. Collagen is what thickens the skin. So if your estrogen goes down, your collagen goes down. Now your tissues are super thin, right? So think of like older women, our grandmothers, how they always had that like thin, clear, crepey skin on their arms. You can see all the veins.
Mm-hmm.
That's thinning skin, right? You can imagine how thin that is. Same thing happens down there for us. So now you put a penis, a sex toy, anything on that, and it's going to tear. And it can be microscopic tears, it can be large tears. So it's going to hurt. So the majority of women will have pain right at the entrance. They can have pain with deeper penetration because I don't know how deep you guys want me to go, but I geek out on this. Okay. So
Yes,
Go
please.
for it.
This is
Go
this
for
is
it.
sex podcast.
don't
Go
want
ahead.
this.
Yes. Go
Okay.
for it.
The inside of our vaginas have rugae. Rugae are these folds. Think of a slinky, right? And so if you pull on a slinky, that's what allows it to expand. That's the same thing as how the vagina works. So it can accommodate a penis, right? Well, estrogen goes down, those rugae start to disappear. Now things can't expand, they can't accommodate, they're not as flexible. And so now things can hurt because there's limitations in that vaginal canal. So you can get pain on the inside, you can get pain on the outside. And so for a lot of women, they'll have some women will tell me even when just wiping, going to the bathroom and just wiping with tissue paper, they can bleed. Now that's
wow.
obviously severe. That's severe, but I think it definitely has an impact on women, and it can definitely have an impact on relationships because partners don't always realize what's happening. So yes.
Another question that I have, can you explain how hormonal changes affect libido, arousal, and orgasm?
Yes. Oh, I love that one. So, one of the first things when your hormones start to decline, you usually lose some of your testosterone and your progesterone first. Estrogen is lost a little bit later. And so, low libido is going to be one of the first things that you notice, along with menstrual changes. And so once your estrogen finally does drop, is when we almost become more testosterone dominant. So later, some women do have an increase in libido after menopause. They do find that happen.
Keeping
But
my fingers crossed for that one.
yes,
Sorry.
not that many, but it does. And you're almost more dominant in testosterone because everything else has fallen by the wayside. But I will tell you a little small fact. For women, we have more testosterone than we do estrogen. And the
Wow.
difference is that the labs don't relate those results in the same measurements. So you have about 1,000 testosterone to 1 estrogen. So next time you look at your lab results, just multiply your testosterone by 1,000. And so we have a lot of testosterone, but estrogen helps with libido because it helps with blood flow. So it's going to increase dilation to the vaginal tissues. It's going to help with lubrication, sensation. And then with that sensation, your orgasm, your arousal, right? So what ends up usually happening is we're losing some of the sensation and lubrication down there. So maybe when we're moving, maybe when we're doing things, things aren't as exciting. We're not feeling any sensations or any thoughts. For women, the majority of arousal is in our brain, right? The majority of it is.
True.
Yes. And so so a lot of arousal is from your estrogen. Your libido is your estrogen. And so when that drops, we're not interested. And so for the majority, usually when I replace hormones, I start with progesterone and estrogen, and a lot of women's libido comes right back. They don't even need testosterone.
Magic.
Mhm.
Magic.
Yes, it's all connected.
I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So let's see if I can give you guys a few things that I think women should know. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So I think a common thing is when does this happen, right? So the average age of menopause is 51, but really you need to look at your mothers, your sisters, your aunties, your grandmothers. When did they go through menopause? Because normal is anywhere from 45 to 57. And early menopause is 40 to 45. Anything before the age of 40, a woman should see a doctor and have that worked up because that's not normal. And so the true diagnosis of menopause is 12 months without a menstrual cycle. So say for instance, you're going to have your final menstrual cycle at age 45. You can have symptoms for years before that final cycle hits. So I have women in their late 30s and there's no question they're perimenopausal, no question. And so some women think it's too early, this can't be that, and they will go to doctors after doctors after doctors seeking answers. And the majority of women will go to about five different providers trying to find answers before they check their hormones.
Wow.
That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Yes.
That cannot feel good in the process. That has to be a toll on them emotionally and
Oh, yes, because
physically and
because you go in and you're telling people this is what's happening, and they're told, "You're fine." And then they go to the next person, "You're fine." The next person, "You're fine." And they're like, "You guys, I'm not fine."
you're like, "What's wrong with me? Am I
Right?
fine and I don't realize it?" I mean,
Well,
that's
I
kind of
was
like
happy that I actually talked to you before and I went to see my OBGYN and I didn't have much hope. But
Yes,
actually, my insurance covers and they have a specialty doctor, female, who actually deals with premenopausal, menopausal women like us.
wonderful.
Yeah. So I have an
Yes.
appointment and she does all those beautiful things that you do. And I was shocked when they told me like, yeah, we have on our clinic, yeah, we just have to make an appointment. She's booked or whatever. I was like, wow, that is amazing. Like, I mean,
Yes.
maybe they're moving with times. I'm hoping because a lot more
Yes.
women have issues, with their age and whatever is coming your way. It's unfortunate. And my
Yes.
hope of regular OBGYN helping me out with this was like a very low to zero. And I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised.
Yes. Woohoo, that's a win.
So
That's
we
a
just have
win.
to ask women, go and ask. There's no
Yes.
harm in asking. If they don't have it, then you go to somebody who, like Cherie, who actually has her clinic and, privately paid. But if you have insurance, I'm hoping that you can, if you want to do both, like that's what I'm
Yes.
thinking, like do both, because there's
Yes.
no harm in the beginning and then seeing like how that works. And if you wanted to upgrade to some special things that you probably have in your clinic that the other clinic probably that I've probably going might not have because they're not so advanced. I
Well,
don't know.
what we could talk about, because I have one thing that I think you'll like to hear about. But I was going to tell you, I think it's changing because women, there's a revolution happening. There's
Yes.
a revolution. We are
Yes.
yay.
demanding to feel better, right? This is trending. This is all over, like all over Instagram and TikToks, and women are talking about it now. They are this slowly, and I think it's our generation. We're talking about with our friends, our girlfriends, and the women in our lives, and people are actually starting to demand to feel better. So I'm hopeful. I think five. I would say 10, but no, I think it's going to be sooner. I think 5 years is going to be mainstream. I
That
don't
would be
think people are gonna
amazing.
have to hunt down
Yeah.
crazy amount to get help, and I think there's so much initiative right now. Back in July, oh, it was mid-July, I think July 17th, maybe, I could have that date wrong. The FDA had a panel on menopause, and they had all the specialists in the room, and they were talking about removing some of the black box warnings that are associated with estrogen specifically. But they heard probably 10 to 15 different specialists in the room, and all these people were advocating for change. And so that's huge. And so I think it's going to change, and I'm very hopeful that it does.
Well, I'm one of the luckiest women who actually have linked to you, but I'm hoping a lot more women gonna have linked to other doctors that actually specialize. Because the list that you gave me with the blood work, my
Mhm.
regular OBGYN did not know some of those blood works that you were asking me. She's like, oh, maybe the specialist will know. When you go to her, tell her about it and let her run the blood work. I was like, okay, I got that.
Oh,
But I'm just telling you that the OBGYN did not know the language, some of it.
interesting.
Yeah. Not to
Oh,
trying to put anybody down. I'm just
yeah.
saying, like,
No, but yeah.
and that's
Well,
an,
and I will tell you, sometimes, so everything is evolving right now with the menopause world. Some practitioners don't draw labs, and honestly, I think that's okay. And the reason is because I draw labs in my clinic because I know you as the patient are going to want them. You're going to be like, Cherie, what is my estrogen?
Mhm.
Right? I'm not
Sure.
getting out of that room without telling you your estrogen level. I know that, so I'm just going to draw it. But realistically, when you give someone hormones and you treat them, you're treating how they feel, and you don't need their labs to know. Like if you came in and I asked you all my questions, your body's telling me what you need. So the lab really is just kind of like a confirmation, but it's
Mm,
not a requirement sometimes.
I see.
So because I get asked that too. They're like, oh, do you need my labs or can you do it without? And I'm like, for me, my hard and fast is I want to know that you have a healthy liver and healthy kidneys, and then your hormones, I can pretty much gauge where they are by your symptoms. Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
have you ever discussed with the women you work with how they navigate menopause within their relationships? And because it is changing their desires and their libido and the pain and everything. So, do you ever address those topics with them?
Of course. Yes. So I'm glad you asked that. A lot of women come to me because of relationship issues, because their partners may not understand. And especially if they've been in a relationship for years, 20 years, right? And now this is happening. Sometimes it's thought, oh, is this even real? Are we making this up as women? It never hurt before. Why is it hurting now? Right. And so some women will bring their partners with me, and I think that's truly helpful. And for some, it heals a little bit. I've had spouses in the room, and one husband was like, "I had no idea." And when I can list off all the things, and she never had to say it, but he's heard it from her, and she didn't tell me that. Like that light bulb goes off, and he's like, "I'm sorry," and so it can be very validating. And it can, the number one time, well, one of the highest rates of divorce is when a woman's going through perimenopause and menopause. Also, one of our highest suicide rates as women, because
Wow.
our bodies are changing and we don't know what the heck is going on, and we feel absolutely miserable. And it's, and at the same time that we're perimenopausal or menopausal, we're also usually kind of at the height of our careers. So we may have high stress jobs,
Yep.
right? We're sandwiched. We may have elderly parents and teenage kids in the house. And so it's kind of not the time, right? The
Yeah, the
timing is
timing's
not
not
great.
good.
No.
Unfortunately, we can't choose it, but it can be very detrimental. And so I think it's a good thing to bring partners in on that conversation. And I think we need kind of like a manual for the other half of the relationship. This is what they're going through. This is how you can support them.
I think this
Um,
topic is for both for women and men. We actually do a
yeah,
pajama party episode, but I think for men, it's as vital as for women to hear it.
yes,
Yeah,
Men
knowledge
tend
is
to listen to
power.
the pajama party because they want to know about women. And I mean, women, we said earlier on, for years, women didn't talk about it. Men certainly weren't talking about it. So they have very limited information about it.
yeah,
So for them to come to you and hear it has to be so
yeah,
significant.
yes. So
Okay.
if I can tell you, because I think one of your questions was about pain with sex, right? And how do we treat this? So that you can always do vaginal estrogen. Vaginal estrogen is a cream. And I always tell people it goes on the outside and the inside. And that is going to it's going to build collagen and thicken those tissues. And let me just say, vaginal estrogen does not go on the rest of the body. Think of it like lotion. It is literally lotion for your vagina. Like if you put lotion on your arm, it only goes on your arm, right? It doesn't end up on your head. It stays where you put it. Same thing with vaginal estrogen. So all estrogens are not equal. And again, the fear that comes with estrogens and hormone therapy, we now know is incorrect. But vaginal estrogen is not a systemic estrogen. And the reason I bring that up is meaning, even if you had a history of breast cancer, you had a history of something else that makes you not a candidate for systemic head to toe estrogen, you can almost always use vaginal estrogen. Almost always. Obviously, it has to be prescribed. But a 90-year-old woman in the ICU, vaginal estrogen is going to help her. And so
Right.
so vaginal estrogen, and that doesn't make sense because now I'm like, is she having sex in the ICU? But but but
Well, I would try.
it,
Hot
right?
nurse, come over here.
If,
I need you.
if she's living her best life, maybe.
Listen, I
But
would try.
I mean, I did say we should all have great sex, but we know that it safeguards against urinary tract infections. And so we
Mm.
get more frequent UTIs because the tissue thins. So then the urethra gets closer to the vaginal canal. So we get more UTIs midlife as women. And so a UTI for a 90-year-old woman, that could lead to sepsis and kill her. And so vaginal estrogen is a game changer. Literally, for women, you usually put it on nightly for about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, the tissues are plump, the lubrication is back, that pain should be gone. Almost 2 weeks, that's all it needs.
Wow.
Wow, that's
Yes.
incredible to think it only takes 2 weeks and women have been suffering
Yes.
right along.
Do you have to do
Now,
that every
women-
month?
Well, so they then maintain it. So that's like what I call their initial rehab. You do every night for 2 weeks, and then you go down a few times a week, and you're like, did I have any symptoms the nights I didn't use it? No. Okay, you go down a little bit. You see what level maintains that. And then if you're a candidate for systemic head to toe estrogen, I usually will put women on that because then it's going to replenish from the inside out. Because the thing is women either love vaginal estrogen or they hate it. They love it because it works and it's like an answer to their problem, right? Or they hate it because it's a cream. And creams, nobody wants a cream on their vagina.
Right.
And you put it in before you go to bed. You wake up in the morning, some of that cream comes out. Who wants that, right? But the majority of women, they're like, I don't care because I feel so much better. I'll deal with it. I don't care. So there's different ways to get estrogen into the vagina, but usually, so you don't have to only do a cream. But that is number one, vaginal estrogen. There's another product called Intrarosa. It's FDA approved for painful sex, and it has both estrogen and testosterone in it. And that's a suppository that you insert nightly, and it melts. And so it puts testosterone in the vaginal canal along with estrogen. We have a ton of testosterone receptors in our vaginas. We didn't know that. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And yeah, I had one patient, she told me, she said, Cherie, you're my hero. And I said, what? I'm your hero. And she said, yes, she said, I didn't even want that stuff. You told me to take it, and now I'm having multiple orgasms.
Ooh.
That's awesome.
You would be my hero too.
That's only happened with one patient, so it's not like everybody's going to have multiple orgasms on it, but it helps. It really does help. And then the other thing I was alluding to, Pinky, earlier when I said I'll tell you about it, is I have this machine in my office now, and it's called the MFEM 360, and it's non-surgical vaginal rejuvenation. So now you can do things outside of creams and medications to make the vagina a little bit better. So what this one does is it's radio frequency. We do inside the vagina, 8 minutes. We do outside for 5 minutes. Think of a facelift. You go in and they do facelifts in the clinic. It's like that, but for your vagina. And it thickens the tissues right on the spot. So a lot of women have more sensation, increased lubrication, just improves sex life altogether. It takes care of pain. So that's the whole piece, because your estrogen is thickening the tissues. That's what this machine does, but it does it on the spot. And it increases collagen for about 90 days.
Wow.
So you don't have to wait 2 weeks.
You don't have
problem. It's like immediate.
Yeah, and there's no downtime. So you can go home and immediately have sex if you want. It's not labor, there's no needles. All you feel is warmth, because all I'm doing is warming your body tissue at the dermal layer, and it's increasing your own collagen for you.
Wow, that is so amazing. I love that.
Yes. So we don't have to suffer.
No.
That's the moral of the story. We don't have to suffer. So there's lots of things out there. I think just women, we get used to not talking about it. Yeah.
And there's different hormonal replacements that you have. Can you elaborate a little bit on that as well?
Yes. So when you look at hormones, not all hormones are equal. And so people class them all together, like estrogens, right? There are synthetic estrogens and there are bioidentical estrogens. Synthetics are not the same as our human form. So when all the data, the fear, it causes X, Y, and Z, they use synthetics in the Women's Health Initiative. If you do bioidentical, that molecule is the same as our human form. So then you're less apt to have side effects because it's what your body already has. So bioidenticals are safest. That's what we want. And then, so that would be like estradiol. You don't want an estrogen, you want estradiol. That's how you know it's bioidentical. Same thing with progesterone. Progesterone is bioidentical. Progestins are not. And so progestins are synthetic, which it makes sense because if you think about this, the reason we use synthetics is we put it in our birth control pills so we don't get pregnant. Well, naturally, as any woman, we can always get pregnant, right? So that's the point of synthetics we had to make something to basically override our body to not get pregnant. So if you're using bioidenticals, that's the same thing as what your body already has. And so they're safest. So estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, because women have a lot of testosterone as well.
Can you also
So-
add a little bit about IUDs and how that could be helpful?
Yes. So some women, well, let me back up. If you have a uterus and you take estrogen, you must also take progesterone. Estrogen, when you take that, as women, our bodies are always trying to get pregnant. So your uterus does not know the difference between your own estrogen and the estrogen that you're getting from this, replacement. And so your uterus is going to thicken in response because it thinks you're about to ovulate and it needs to be ready to receive an embryo. So if you sit there with a thick lining in your uterus, that's where cancer loves to grow. So any woman that has estrogen and she has a uterus, we have to give her progesterone. Progesterone sloughs off that lining and prevents it from growing back. So if you think about it this way, estrogen grows the grass, progesterone cuts it. And so some women just, when they take progesterone, it's maybe about a third of women on progesterone, they just don't like how they feel on it. Progesterone sensitivity is a thing. And so sometimes we feel bloated, we're overly groggy, we've put on some weight, and we just do not like it. And so then we find a way to still protect that uterus without giving her progesterone, which is where the IUDs come in. So a progesterone-only IUD like the Mirena, the Kyleena, the Skyla, those are inserted straight into the uterus, and they will protect the uterus in place of an oral progesterone. So in my opinion, it's a great thing because it still solves the issue for women, and it's a form of birth control. So if she's perimenopausal, she doesn't want to get pregnant, that IUD is really a good thing. And the Mirenas last up to 8 years now. So you can remove one, put another one in, and you can keep doing that until guidelines say about the age of 55, 57, when you should be through menopause. So they're good things.
Yeah, very good things.
Yeah.
So we're a non-monogamy podcast, and people tend to get into non-monogamy a little bit later in life. While there are 20s and early 30s, people tend to start exploring a little bit older. Probably right around the time that they're not far away from entering perimenopause and starting to have symptoms.
Yes.
So obviously, a lot of us enter non-monogamy because we want to have a lot of sex and we want to be good sex.
Yes.
So what can you tell women who want to explore their sexuality post-menopause or during perimenopause so they can go into it confidently and not be concerned?
Well, I think post-menopause, as long as you're having pain-free sex and you're, practicing safe sex, you're probably okay. Perimenopause is where it's a little bit trickier because our cycles start to change. And sometimes when you think you're not going to get a cycle, you get a cycle. So I can imagine that would be complicating things for, non-monogamy. And if you have something planned and now here's a cycle that pops up. And so sometimes menstrual regulation is a concern, and then also pregnancy, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that. So my brain just figured out why you brought this in. So we just talked about birth control. And so with birth control, those are the synthetics. But what you can do is you can kind of have the best of both worlds sometimes, because in birth control, it's truly the progesterone that keeps you from getting pregnant. The estrogen is what kind of just helps us feel better, but progesterone is what safeguards. So for a lot of women who want contraception and they want to feel better, I'll usually put them on a progesterone only pill. So those are synthetics. You're going to need the synthetics to make sure that you don't get pregnant. But we rarely use the same synthetics nowadays that were in the Women's Health Initiative. And so We don't get, it's hard because synthetics kind of get a bad rap and we get scared now. We hear, I don't want to put fear with the synthetics because they really have good reasons to take them. Obviously, the majority of women at some time in their lives have been on birth control, and thankfully, right? I don't think any of us would have wanted an unattended pregnancy, so we need those. But usually, you can do the progesterone to help you not get pregnant, and then use the estrogen to help you feel better. So you could do a progesterone only pill. There's a Slind patch. It's SLYND, Slind. And that one's really good. That's a drospirenone progesterone. So that helps nicely for like acne. And so there's different ways. So you could do the Mirena, like we were saying, if you wanted, and then still do a bioidentical estrogen because you're just using the estrogen to help you feel better.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So
There's
many
so many
ways.
options.
Mhm.
Yes. I always tell people, if you think of estrogen, I tell them in my clinic, I say estrogen is the golden egg. She's your new BFF. Gonna help you from head to toe. Progesterone is going to keep you, if you're using a synthetic, it's going to keep you from getting pregnant. It's going to regulate your cycles. A lot of women, when I put them even on bioidentical progesterone, their cycles go back to normal in perimenopause. So if you're having spotting, if your cycles are irregular, and you go back on regular progesterone, that's going to put you back to normal. And sometimes, the majority of the time, I'll say. And so, but estrogen, she's your BFF. She's
Mhm.
gonna be amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm on Mirena and I don't get a cycle. So as I enter perimenopause, am I just going to be going on the physical symptoms that I'll be feeling?
Yes. And then also, if you draw your labs, there's a lab that you can do. It's FSH, it's follicle stimulating hormone. FSH will increase during perimenopause and menopause. During normal reproductive years, it fluctuates up and down throughout our cycle. But traditionally, when it goes above 25, that usually correlates with perimenopause. So that's one way you can check it is you can have your labs drawn, check your FSH. If you're above 25, that's pretty suspicious for perimenopause and you're having symptoms. Yes. If it goes above 40, that's usually more of a menopausal range, but it's not diagnostic for menopause because 12 months without a cycle is true diagnosis of menopause. So it helps. Some women in peri, I've seen their FSH like up to 60s and they're
Wow.
still having cycles. So really you just use the value of that and your symptoms to tell you. Now, I will tell you a lot of women will have symptoms and their cycles are still regular and their labs are still normal, right? And I still treat them because there's very few things that give us head to toe symptoms like this. And we know our bodies, right? And so I tell women all the time, I'm like, you know your body. I don't know your body, you know your body. So, when they come in and they're telling me all these things, I relate it to, your FSH is one of the last things that will change. And so, like, Ava, if you draw your FSH and you're like, okay, it's 10, I'm normal, this must not be perimenopause. No, it's one of the last things that'll change in my experience. So it's not a clear cut. Perimenopause is kind of difficult sometimes. Menopause is easy. There's the very specific things. Yes, she's there. This is how we treat. Peri, it's a moving target, and the symptoms are different for everybody. So it's kind of hard. It's hard to plot it out sometimes.
A lot of information.
Yes,
Which is
yes,
good, very good
so
information.
much.
I want to actually attach some of it, mind body connection. How do stress, sleep, and mood swings impact desire? We talked a little bit about it, the desire part, like libido, low libido, but I think if it's okay, because we're a sex podcast, I want to go dive deeper a little bit about that. Because you have clinic and you have women coming to you and they opening up in so many different ways that Ava and I probably never heard of it.
Yes. Well, if you're not sleeping, you're not going to feel good throughout the day, right? You're going to be fatigued. You're going to be tired. Um, and so sleep is so important, right? And then your mood. And so here's the thing is a lot of women are on a roller coaster in perimenopause. One minute our estrogen's high, the next minute it's low. We love everybody and then we hate them all. And this can all happen within 10 minutes. And so So of course that's going to hurt your libido because now you're like, do they still love me? I don't know why I just did that. And so sometimes the connection is going to be a little bit frail after things like that. And so with your hormones going down, if you're not, and then a lot of women just do not sleep. Insomnia is a big deal with perimenopause and menopause. And so if you're not resting, your body's not healing. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you need your food, you need your shelter, you need your sleep, you need all of that before some of the other things come into play, like libido. And so it's going to be affected. It's going to be affected by all of it. Sleep is so important.
Yeah, I think it's all of it. Sleep, diet, exercise. I've been listening to different podcasts about women and lifting weights. If you've never lifted a weight before you're age 50, you better start now because we
Yes.
lose so much body mass with menopause.
Yes. Muscle is it's your longevity. That's your medicine, is your muscle.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, many women like I'll do yoga and whatever, and I'm like, I do hot yoga and I do lift weights, but a lot of women don't ever, and that's
Yes.
like I've listened to a lot of benefits that particular exercise actually does help us a lot.
Yes. If I can say one thing, I would tell women if, because we're talking about libido, desire, and mood, right? Tell your partners what's happening with you. And I know that's hard because sometimes our relationships don't allow for that space. But I think sometimes if we just are very frank and open and we say, you know what, I don't know what the heck is happening. I don't feel like myself. And this is what I'm experiencing. It it just opens that door in that conversation. And then the next step is tell them what you need, right? For women that are with male partners, men don't always figure this out. You have to give them the answer to the test. Okay? Don't just give them the test, give them the answer. When I feel this way and that way, I just need you to hug me. I don't need you to go fix it. I don't need you to go do whatever you want to, just this is what I need from you. Give them the answer to the test. And so almost set yourself up for success. I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but when I lose my ish, I need you to just do this for me and we'll get through it together kind of thing. That's the only thing I would really want to impart because I think it's so important that we don't know what's happening, but we expect everybody else to know what's happening. And sometimes it's just hard and we need a partner to help us get through it.
And I think that's so huge to like acknowledge that because I know women who don't even talk to their partners about their period, right? Or the men won't go out and buy the tampons and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
So to really tell people how important it is to have those conversations, I think it needs to be said because it's very easily not done.
Yes. I once went to this conference, oh my gosh, probably 25 years ago, so long ago. I wasn't even in the medical field. And it was a women's conference. And there was a speaker, and she said, and I don't know if this is true, okay? But she said, it always stuck with me, this analogy. She said, women start the day with 10,000 words, and men start the day with 5,000. And we go to work and we use 5,000 of our words. And so we come home and we still have 5,000 and we're so excited to see him. Well, he used all of his 5,000. He's got none left.
We can relate to that.
Yep, definitely. Yeah.
And so we're like, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you talking? He doesn't have any words left. And then the other thing they said is you have to be very clear cut. And I remember what I took from that was you can't just say, I want you to take out the trash because he may think, okay, yeah, I'm going to take out the trash, but he may take it out tomorrow on his way to work. No, you have to say, I want you to take out the trash and can you take it out in the next 10 minutes, please? And then, okay, fine, he'll take it out in 10 minutes, but he didn't know you wanted it in 10 minutes, right?
And keep
So,
taking it out. It doesn't mean just this once.
yes, because you're like, well, I asked you to take out the trash, but you didn't tell me when. You didn't tell me I had to do it right now. I was going to do it on my time. And so it just makes me think of that, the differences in men and women and how we communicate, and not all partners are women or men, but it's that communication and understanding the differences and just being open and just saying, this is what I need.
That's great.
Yeah.
Communication is a clear. We always talk about it in any kind of relationship, but particularly in the open relationship for us, communication is the key to successful relationship, because we're dealing with so many different colors of on the umbrella, and
Yes.
if you don't communicate openly and with your partner, it can go south very fast.
Oh, yes. I'm sure you guys could teach a class on communication. You guys are probably experts at it. I could only imagine all the dynamics and all the different
Yep.
pieces and having to check in. And yes,
Yeah,
Pinky is a
lot of-
champion of communication. You are like, you bang the drum. You're like, we must communicate, like, come to the table now. We're having a conversation. So
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, we have to. Otherwise, how are we going to manage? It's a lot of things happening at the same time. And if you don't communicate, you cannot read my mind, can you?
not yet.
Okay, good. Remember that movie?
Maybe we'll get there.
What Women
We're not there
Want?
yet.
Is that the name of the movie? When he was able to listen to all the women what they wanted. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, What Women Want. Yeah.
Yeah. Did Cherie?
I don't know if I remember that one.
It's
Maybe.
a really good, funny, hilarious
Yeah.
movie. You must see it. Yeah, it's
Okay.
hilarious. Maybe it was 90s. I don't even remember. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, but it's hilarious, and it's not fun. What we think women, hubby says that women's brain is like tomatoes, pasta and
Spaghetti.
tomatoes, spaghetti, This is our mind, right? That's like so many things happening at the same time. And men are waffles. They're compartmentalized. Everything is for them in the special square.
Their little nooks that they
Yeah.
put everything into.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we have so much going on in our minds that it's just spaghetti.
We just
Yeah.
have multiple pathways.
That's what
That's all.
it is.
They have cross
Yeah.
streets. We have interconnected
Yes.
networks.
Everything
Definitely.
overlaps.
Yeah,
Family,
yeah.
work, health, it's all intertwined. They have little pockets for each one of them.
It's
Yeah.
funny.
We make it all happen all at the same time.
When you communicate, you really have to communicate clear. You cannot switch from one subject to the other without telling him that you're
Right.
switching, because he's like, what? We were on this one. How do we get to this one? I'm like, what? We already left that one already a long time ago. Come on, get with the program. What is wrong with you?
Yep.
He's like, oh my
Yeah.
God, I can't. This is too much.
Yeah.
Sure.
I've run out of words.
Oh
my goodness.
my goodness.
Yeah.
You have provided us with so much information. I am so grateful for you joining us today. How can our listeners find you online, through social media, things like that?
Yes. Well, thank you for inviting me. I've had a ton of fun with you ladies. This has been very, very entertaining. I felt like I was, in pajamas with you, just having a blast. So thank you. So our clinic is in Las Vegas. It's called Xena Health, Xena Health. Our website is Xena Health LV. We do serve Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and some of California. But and so we do offer telehealth as well. But if you're in the Nevada, Arizona, Utah area, you can come to us as well. And we do a hybrid system, because I know, Pinky, you were talking a little bit about insurance versus cash pay. We do cash pay for the visit. Everything else is insurance, because kind of going back to that urgent care, I was only allowed to see patients for like 5 minutes. It was just the insurance model. You're in and out so fast. And so we do cash pay for the visit, so I can spend time with women and get to know them. But all the meds, like Pinky said, they're all, your insurance covers them, and they cover bioidentical as well. So
Wow,
yes.
that's awesome.
Wonderful.
Yes. And then our social handles are Xena Health LV on Instagram and Facebook. And if I can put in a plug, we're doing a menopause fair in Las Vegas, the first one.
Wow,
Awesome.
yes.
Yes, we're so excited. Myself and my co-host, Jessica Waugh, and she is a health coach, a functionalist, and a menopause specialist herself. And so we're putting it on together, and we're going to have about 1,000 women show up. We have 40 vendors. And so what we've done is we've personally reached out and found all the people in Vegas that any perimenopausal or menopausal woman would hunt for. Because the majority of women come to me and they say, Cherie, I've been to 4 or 5 different people. And just like we were saying, nobody can help me. Or I've been to all these ologists, nobody can help. And so we're going to bring them all into one room for them. And so that's the goal.
That's
So
incredible.
yes,
Wow.
it's going to be amazing. So, but yes, thank you for having me.
Wow, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have, for me, I'm all about knowledge. Do you have any books, podcasts, websites that you would recommend? Or if you go to your website, you have the resources set already in there?
I don't necessarily have them on my website, but yes, I have books. Avram Blooming, he's a physician. He wrote a book called Estrogen Matters. You can get that on Amazon. I recommend all women get it. I have it in my clinic. I loan out different books to patients all the time. Estrogen Matters, because it's written by a physician, he goes through all of the studies and he says, does estrogen cause breast cancer? Well, let's see. This study said this. This study said that. Does this make sense to you? And he breaks it down. Does it cause dementia? Does it cause cardiovascular disease? Is it going to give you a stroke or a heart attack? And so that is and he talks about the Women's Health Initiative. And so when I was talking about what happened that day, it's from his book that I learned about it. And so that book is amazing. I think that's going to change a lot of women's opinions when they read that book. And there is the new Menopause by Dr. Mary Claire Haver. That's out. That's a great one. Kelly Casperson just did a new book as well. She's a urologist that really focuses on female testosterone because testosterone is not FDA approved for women, even though we have more testosterone than estrogen. And testosterone is not a male hormone. So I always like to plug that because we get scared about testosterone, but we feel better on testosterone 9 times out of 10.
Wow.
And I think that's it. I could keep going, but I'm going to cut it off.
No, that's good. Yeah,
That's
we're going to
amazing.
attach that to our show notes on the end of the podcast. It's been unbelievable pleasure meeting you and
Yeah,
talking
same here.
to you and learning from you, because it's like everything. Why I decided that I wanted to have a podcast, and then everybody came aboard, and Pinky made people things to do, because I
Tends
want
to do that.
because I want women to be feeling supported, and we definitely need each other. I don't want to see another woman putting another one down for any kind of way. I want us to elevate each other, because
Yes.
that way we're going to have such a better life across the board.
Yes. Yes. We need to come together, support, uplift.
hmm
Yes.
Like we used to, many generations ago, that's what women used to do. The
Mhm.
elderly were helping out the younger ones, like how to deal with this and whatever. Knowledge is such a beautiful power.
Yes. And then I would say usually what I really try to put forth in my practice too is challenging women to talk about it, because that's how we're going to change it for the next generation, right? So we think of our girlfriends, we think of our sisters, our daughters, and talk about it, because it may be embarrassing to you. You may think you're alone, and I guarantee you, you're not. There's so many people that have said, you know what, I actually posted on Facebook. I was really afraid, and I had 20 comments, and things were happening with my friends that I didn't even know. And so kind of that revolution, they said, how menopause is trending, change the narrative, start talking about it, make it not taboo. And you never know what your girlfriend is going through next to you, and you may have the solution.
Yeah. We're here to help each other.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming again and talking
Yeah.
about difficult subject. Very difficult.
Yes,
Yeah.
we so appreciate you.
Well,
Thank
thank you
so
for
much.
giving us the platform. Thank
Mhm.
you for bringing this on your podcast. Yes.
Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, Pinky, my friend, as always, it's been my pleasure.
Yes.
And I'll talk to you in about 10 minutes on our
My-
next phone call, because we talk forever, always.
My pleasure is all yours. Kisses and
Thanks,
hugs to everybody.
Yes, thanks
Bye.
everyone for listening. And remember, stay salacious even when you have a hot flash. Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to visit our website at 3shadesofgrey.com. That's the number 3shadesofgrey.com, and sign up for updates, exclusive content, and more. Want to keep this vibe going? Follow us on our socials at 3_shadesgray, at AvaMoore_3shades, and don't forget to check out Pinky and her salacious, soul-stirring poems over at Polly_poet. Until next time, stay salacious.